afternoon. Very eminent panelists here, Dr. Mishra, Mr. Nimesh Desai, Professor Bijon Kumar Mishra, and very distinguished, eminent participants here. I think I was a wrong choice for this very important discussion for the reason that I don't smoke, I don't drink. So personally speaking, I don't know what are the hazards of smoking or excessive drinking. Possibly it could be, as so many medical experts are here, they could say that could be a reason that why at the age of 83, 84, after completing 6 decades in the legal practice, that I'm still active, and active not only appearing in the courts, but almost in all aspects. But then at the same time, I have, you see, a very sad experience that I lost my wife to cancer, and she was also not a smoker, not a drinker, not even a captive smoker, because I don't smoke. But she died of cancer, lung cancer. So I don't know. Experts will say, what is the interconnection between use of tobacco, and it has been highlighted in the previous session also, and cancer? Possibly there exists some evidence, substantial evidence, that smoking does cause cancer. But being a lawyer, I go by hard facts, evidence. Therefore, when this issue came up about the constitutionality of the tobacco laws, I went into, you see, the various aspects. What are the limitations on the powers of the legislature or the government as a regulator, whether they can impose such conditions? So I looked into, firstly, the Bible, that is the Constitution, to see what is the source of this power. And immediately I went to the very important chapter, what we call the directive principles of state policy. And Article 47 of our Constitution. What is the duty of the state? And it's important. I'll tell you why. First, let me read it. Duty of the state to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living. The state shall regard the raising of the level of nutrition and the standard of living of its people and the improvement of public health as among its primary duties, and in particular, this is important, because I'm making a comparison between liquor use and smoking. And just see what the Constitution says. And in particular, the state shall endeavor to bring about prohibition of the consumption, except for medicinal purposes, of intoxicating drinks and of the drugs which are injurious to health. So there is a clear directive given to the state that so far as the use of intoxicating drinks that is concerned, there should be prohibition. But is there a prohibition? There is no prohibition. Some states tried to impose it. They had to withdraw it because it led to illicit manufacture, import, and all those things. We have liquor consumption, as someone also rightly said. You have the surrogate advertising also going on, because directly you can't advertise liquor. But what I want to point out is that there is no direct reference here to the use of tobacco. Liquor is allowed, and it is a known fact, admitted fact, based on hard evidence, that excessive use of liquor is also injurious to health. Therefore, what is required I don't think regulations are required. Regulations tend to be counterproductive because they bring in new regulators who would thrive if there is a prohibition or a total banning of cigarettes. There will be smuggling, which is still there, of the foreign brands. Therefore, what is the other aspect of the constitutionality? This is on the logical thing, that is what the Constitution prescribes. Now kindly see, the Constitution has divided legislative activities between the center and the states. That is covered under the 7th schedule of our Constitution. List 1 is the union list, where the government can make, with the parliament can make legislations. Second list is the state list, where the states can make their respective laws. Third is the concurrent list. And what does, you see, the schedule say? Schedule, the union list. Union list refers to that Parliament can frame a law to control any activity. It does not specify which activity, but it can, which in the opinion of the Parliament is in public interest to do so, so they can bring in any law to control that. Essential word is the control. And that is again how it has been interpreted. The same schedule says that the industries, the control of which by the union is declared by Parliament by law to be expedient in public interest. That means you can carry on with the industries which the government feels, the legislature feels should be controlled. Now, control does not mean banning. Control does not mean destroying, damaging, completely taking away the activity. Control means regulate, impose terms and conditions. But you can't ban that activity because the Constitution itself says that you can frame laws to govern those industries. And the states are required in the state list. Duties of excise, this is very important. Duties of excise on tobacco and other goods manufactured or produced in India. So there is a constitutional sanctity given to the activity of tobacco industry. That yes, you can impose excise, the states, the union can impose excise, state can impose excise, but you cannot do away with that. Because that is empowered, you see, the Parliament and the legislature is empowered to bring in laws where they can levy excise on tobacco, specifically mentioned, as against liquor and all that. For liquor it is prohibition. For tobacco it is regulation. Impose excise duties, impose this law, impose other things, you see. And then public health and all comes under the state list. It does not come under the central list. State list is public health, sanitation, hospitals and dispensaries. Therefore, constitutionality of a law has to be seen in the context of the source of power. What is the source of power to the Parliament to bring in a law completely banning e-cigarettes? I am on that limited issue. E-cigarettes cannot be banned because there is no power given to the legislature to ban that. Power is only given to control. They can control, and control means, as COTPA, this act, the cigarettes and other tobacco, it does not ban use of tobacco. It regulates use of tobacco. It gives legal sanctity to use of tobacco. Okay, there are conditions imposed in the licenses which are given. You will not sell these to the minors and to the students, and you will not sell cigarettes near some schools, and all those conditions are there. So you can impose conditions, but you can't ban the activity. It can be regulated. Therefore, regulations again would be challenged. So what is the way out? As Mr. Ashok Arora, my learned friend from the profession, he possibly we thought that his remarks are not on the subject, on the topic, but he said very important things. You have to inculcate that, you see, in the family cultures. Okay, this thing is bad, this thing is good. You have to do that. There has to be a change in the mindset of our young people, particularly in the students. And to wean away. Now, what is the evidence available? Because as a lawyer, I go only by evidence. I don't go, you see, by, okay, what are the impressions of people? Evidence as I see it, and I've written on that also, that e-cigarettes are 95% less harmful than tobacco cigarettes. As a layman, I could understand whatever I read from the US FDA reports or the UK Parliament House of Commons committee's reports, that it is 95% less harmful than tobacco. So I'm not going into that area. It may lead to, because it's a presumption, that the use of e-cigarette may lead to use of cigarettes and all that. I don't believe as a lawyer, I don't, you see, take those things. These are all presumptions unless we have hard evidence, hard facts to prove that. It is not acceptable to any rational thinking person to say that it is either more harmful or not 50% less harmful. I don't know. But definitely preponderance of evidence suggests that it is less harmful. Whether people will take both e-cigarettes also and the tobacco cigarettes also, that again is a presumption, an area where we cannot go into, because that all depends on habits. In my own case, my father was a chain smoker. My brother smokes. My father used to enjoy his drink in the evening. I don't drink. But it is all a question of one's mindset. I was never induced by the fact that my father is smoking and he smokes cigars and all that. I should also do that. No. We were not taught, you see, to just blindly follow anything. Therefore, self-regulation seems to be the only answer, and banning a product is actually welcoming the product. Because people would think, why a product is banned? Okay, if I can't get it from India, let us get it, you see, through some other route, illegal route, which hurts the economy also. Tobacco production is very important part of our economy. The plantations are there. Lives of millions of people are dependent upon tobacco use. So by all means, regulate the use to minimize the health hazards, but don't try to ban it because it will be counterproductive. And e-cigarettes seem to be a better way of regulating things than completely banning them. This is the first law that I have seen that where they say where the control has been exercised to ban e-cigarettes. When you allow COTPA, the hard tobacco, which is, you are allowing the use, you see, of hard tobacco. But e-cigarettes, you are saying we are banning them? Because children will, you see, develop that habit. Well, children can develop the habit that, if you say so, by having chewing gum also. And you may say, okay, chewing of these gums will also lead to chewing of some other things, some other drugs. This is hardly anything. And it is just like banning beer while allowing the whiskey part of it, the liquor part of it. You ban beer. Can you do so legally? You cannot. But you ban beer, but you allow the use of hard liquor. This is the comparison. Thank you.